Evening all, how we doing? Hope everybody's well. It's a fine Saturday night. My apologies for being shockingly late as per usual, that's pretty much my MO. Funnily enough, spent a bit of time this afternoon rather, doing a little bit more, yet more, research on 76 and then didn't get ready quick enough, so here we are, we're here at last, better late than never and all that. So, everything looking okay? Promising over that way. Okay. So, the plan. That's not the right thing. There it is. Yes, the plan is to play a bit of Fallout 4, chill out, have a bit of a chat, if I can speak English, about all the news that's come out in the last week or so regarding Fallout 76. So obviously there was the big event at Greenbriar, that was about 2 weeks ago now, but the non-disclosure agreement came out, was lifted on Monday, so I've been inundated with videos and footage and articles and all sorts. And I've spent way too much time reading and watching and so on this week. So, obviously I am hyper aware that I'm opening up a small can of worms in openly discussing it like this, but there we go. So, yeah, the idea is to have a constructive conversation, answer questions if we... Yeah, let's not fall off my chair. Answer questions if I can, that sort of thing. Obviously, I wasn't at said event, so it's based off the copious amounts of research I've been doing. But, yeah, if I can in any way help, I will. Equally, obviously, if nobody's got anything constructive to add, you can imagine how I'll be dealing with that. Pointedly being the word I think I'm going to use. So, first thing, yeah, I went into it all fairly optimistic. I've been looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking at the footage and judging by what everybody who actually got to play the game has said, I think they're sharing my opinion. From the look of things, everybody came away wanting to play more, which is promising. Why am I so low? It's because I'm leaning too far back, that's why. Okay. Yeah, so that's a good sign for coming away from it wanting to play more. It's definitely a good thing. A couple of the big things that are still hanging over their heads, obviously with the online-only multiplayer and all that stuff. Yes, online-only, multiplayer, PvP. It looks like, based on actually seeing it in action, it's relatively light PvP, light survival, all that stuff. And the anti-griefing stuff seems to be reasonably effective. From what I saw in the videos, the challenge mechanism that Bethesda have put in, where you fire your first shot and all it does is a tiny little bit of damage, seems to do about 1 damage, but admittedly everybody's very low levels, so it'll probably go up. And then obviously you go up to a balanced, normalised version of damage if you do decide to engage in PvP. So it looks like it's going to make being unpleasant, griefing, that sort of thing, very, very difficult. Which is good. That's what we want. So the other thing, obviously, no NPCs in the game. That just means no human NPCs and no non-feral ghouls. Got Scorched, who are a different type of feral ghoul from the look of it. We don't know much about them, but yeah. Saying that, there's an awful lot of robots in the game, as there have been in previous games, and there have been some great robotic characters, so that works. They're dishing out story and quests left, right and centre from the look of things, which is cool, so there'll be plenty to do, plenty of story to it. And the game looks to be absolutely huge as well, so boredom I think won't be much of an issue. So yeah. Jumping on to the next thing I was going to do, I'm going to have a look at a few specific things that were on sort of YouTube comment sections, stuff like that. But I wanted to, yeah, I'm on the right thing. I wanted to address. A second, I'm going to have to move my chat window over because I can't cycle through this. So, got a few screenshots over here I'm going to have a look at. The first one that I pulled out could have included NPCs. Yes, they could have done, but the idea is to focus on the interaction with other people. So, that will kind of defeat the point to a degree. There's certainly plenty of non-human NPCs and, as I've said, and content and story going on. Somebody think it sounds pretty boring. Well, doesn't look like it to me. There's, as I say, a lot in there. There was apparently one dev who was talking about how he'd set off from Vault 76 hundreds of times and just run off in a straight line, and sort of did it in a radial kind of wheel out from Vault 76, and every time he found a place that didn't have enough in it, they noted it down and put stuff in. So there should be a lot to do, so I don't think boring is going to be the problem, if there is a problem. You can block players and they will not be able to see you at all. Not quite sure if that's exactly how it works. They certainly won't be able to interact with you. That's going to be the way I start every game, just blocking everyone on the server. I don't think you'll be able to block everybody on the server. I'd imagine you'll actually have to be face-to-face with them in order to, you know, select them. But there is a pacifist option, so if you don't want to do the PvP thing, you just select pacifist mode, and you won't be able to hurt anybody else, they won't be able to hurt you. So, effectively nullifying the PvP thing. So, basically problem solved, in short. What else have I got? That's everything on that one. Next page. Moral choices. Yeah, not quite sure how that's going to work with all the characters, or most of the characters being dead. I suppose there's your interactions with other players, but one thing we do know is the Overseer of Vault 76 sets out on her own mission, which we find out before we even leave the vault, involves securing nuclear weapons for Vault Tech. To the exclusion of all others. So there's plenty of room for moral choice in that, if nothing else. So I suspect Bethesda will be aware of that, and they'll try and factor things like that in, I should imagine. So I would think there will be some moral choice, but I would also think there will be less. Then again, some of the games have more, some have less anyway, so just kind of, it is what it is. We'll have to get into it and find out, I guess. So, how does looting work? When my party and I kill something, he drops loot. Is it RNG? Is it what? Well, in short, containers, corpses, all that acts as instance containers, so everybody can loot them and nobody loses out, but it's a random roll every time somebody loots them, so just because your friend finds a fat man in there doesn't mean you won't find a pipe pistol, vice versa. But it goes both ways, obviously. The other side of that is, of course, if there's something just sat on top of a desk, you know, you loot the desk drawers, you get the random rolls. If you're pulling stuff like an alarm clock off the top of a desk or a desk fan or something, those, well, there's only one of those. On the other hand, if everybody, it looks like the loot will respawn if everybody leaves the area. If there's somebody hanging around, it won't, but when you leave the immediate area, a little while later, stuff will respawn. Basically, I'll have to, otherwise I end up with an empty game in a few days. So, that's the gist of that. Is there a proper story? Yes. One of the big things Fudge Muppet in particular focused on was asking about the main quest. And the response they got was the gist of it is that the main story, if you focus on it to the exclusion of all else, should be roughly the same length as in Fallout 4. So, their estimate was about 40 hours, but that's, you know, give or take, depends who's playing it, how fast they play it, and so on. So that's 40 hours of main story right off the bat if you do nothing else. And it's got a kind of cyclical looping end to it, so it doesn't just stop when you finish it. In terms of the main story, there is a main story, and it's reasonably good sized. And obviously, there's a hell of a lot else besides the main story in there as well, because it's a Bethesda game and a Fallout game, so you're not going to be short on stuff to do. The other thing that a lot of people have asked was whether or not the game feels like Fallout, and based on looking at the footage and the responses the people who were there had, yeah, apparently it does. It's a bit greener in the area around Vault 76, but other areas are more desolate, different, got different biomes and stuff. There's some of that in the previous games, but this is a bit more pronounced from the look of things. But yeah, from what I've seen, what everybody else seems to be saying, or what the people who've actually played the game are saying, it does feel like a Fallout game. Awesome. I'm glad somebody thinks it looks good. Good evening. How are you doing? I am definitely going to mispronounce your name there, bud, if I try and go for that, so let's not embarrass both of us. Yeah, I think it looks very good as well. So, next thing that I highlighted somewhere around here. Storied on that one. The game that nobody asked for. No, actually, it's not. They've been talking about a Fallout MMO, Fallout online game, elements of multiplayer and Fallout since roughly the dawn of time, or the dawn of Fallout anyway. It might not have been the most mainstream of conversations, but it's certainly been on the cards somewhere out in the atmosphere that people have been talking about it. So it's the game that nobody asked for. No, maybe not everybody, certainly not everybody, but that's kind of inevitable. If they try and do anything different whatsoever, try and basically make a new game, somebody's not going to like something about it. Other thing that kind of relates to that that's probably worth mentioning is Fallout 76 is not Fallout 5. In the same way that Fallout New Vegas wasn't Fallout 4, in a sense. At least that's the feeling I get. You got Fallout 3, New Vegas followed quite quickly afterwards, a couple of years. It was a bit of a sidestep. Yeah, it wasn't produced in-house by Bethesda, it was Obsidian, but it did much the same things, it used much the same mechanics, the graphics weren't much of an upgrade, which is something a few people have mentioned with 76. But there we go. It's more of a sidestep from the core of games than it is the next core game, I think. I mean, it's canon, but it fits in closer to the way New Vegas did. I know a lot of people think New Vegas is the best game. Personally, I don't, but to each their own. But yeah, it added new mechanics. Some of those worked, some of those didn't. It was better in some areas. It was definitely not better in others. And I think Fallout 76 is going to be a similar position in relation to Fallout 4 and Fallout 5. But as I say, New Vegas was in relation to Fallout 3. So, where are we? Oh yeah, that was a good point. Fallout plus multiplayer mod equals Fallout 76 with full price. And there's a few people have said this a lot. They're complaining about Bethesda charging full price for the game. This game is huge. It's 4 times the size of Fallout 4. And nobody was complaining about that being a full-price game. Well, I'm sure somebody was, but you know. It's absolutely massive. It's got a full-sized main story as per a AAA release. And then everything else besides. Plus, they've been working on it since before Fallout 4 came out. They've got dedicated servers. They've obviously got a significant team that they've brought in, and teams from other studios as well that have contributed. Now part of the larger Bethesda family, but essentially the fact that it's a full-price game doesn't surprise me, doesn't seem unreasonable to me. It makes sense. And yeah, I mean, there's some people who are saying, oh, it should be about 40 rather than 60. And maybe it'd be nice if every game was a bit cheaper, but on the other hand, it's a massive full-size AAA release. Yeah, maybe it's not a completely new entry in a sense. It does build on Fallout 4 quite heavily, but you know, so did New Vegas in relation to Fallout 3. So that's my 2 cents on the pricing of it. Anyway, it seems perfectly reasonable to me. So. Yep, that's more of the same. The PvP things. Since bounties are paid out from the offender, is it only based on the caps they have on themselves? So if you've got no caps on you, will you then... hang on, my PS4's trying to switch itself off. Don't do that. So if you've got no caps on you and you get a bounty, will that therefore mean the bounty's smaller, or do you get away with it? No. The bounty, I think, seems to set independently, or as a standardized system. What I'm curious about is whether or not if you get a bounty from murdering one player and then go and murder another one, does the bounty get bigger? I would imagine so. Seems to make sense. The other side of it, if you get the bounty, somebody comes to hunt for said bounty and kill you, and loses, and the murderer wins, do they then get a bigger bounty? Don't know. Again, we'll find out in time. But one thing we do know is that if you do not have enough, if you murder somebody, get the bounty, and are then killed, and you don't have enough caps on you to pay that bounty, because you have to pay it yourself, then you will probably, I would imagine, lose all the caps you do have, as much of it as you can pay. But you will also get a significant debuff. You'll be doing a lot less damage, you'll be able to take a lot less damage, and that lasts for 3 hours of continuous gameplay. So you can't just log out, come back 3 hours later, and it's gone. You've got to be logged in for 3 hours and play the game for 3 hours before that debuff goes away. So it's hard to become a wanted murderer in the first place. It is painful if you do, and you're going to become significantly weaker if you try and weasel your way out of the punishment for doing it. Won't stop everybody from doing it, but a lot of people are going to look at it and think, you know what, maybe not worth the effort. And to be honest, I'm inclined to agree with that. I may do a bit of bounty hunting if the thing comes up. There's one thing that did mildly bug me about it, though. Not a significant thing, really, but they've been saying for ages that a wanted murderer cannot see other people on the map, fine, but they appear on the map as a red star. Also fine. Except it's not a red star, it's a red bottle cap. Like, if you look at the footage, you can clearly see it's a big red bottle cap, not a star. Why not call it a bottle cap? It makes sense. I mean, you're going to get caps for hunting this person down. Seems strange to me, that. Anyway, that's just me. Can you join teams remotely? I don't think so. It looks like you have to be face-to-face with the player to send and receive the invite. Otherwise, how do you select the person? You might be able to select friends. I assume you'll be able to set friends up through the Bethesda launcher. Incidentally, the main reason for that is they want direct contact with people. If you're on PC using Bethesda's own launcher rather than Steam, they want more direct contact with the player base, and also it saves them a fortune of like giving money away to Steam to host the game, which then hopefully they'll reinvest into new content, which they have said they will be doing for free. Large amounts of content continually over time, like for free, which is kind of the Digital Extremes Warframe model, which is a good idea because that game works very well on that particular method. It's a totally free-to-play game that has been running for years and keeps on going. So if they take a leaf out of that book, it wouldn't be the worst decision they've ever made. So what else are we looking at? Yes. How can they mention the Brotherhood of Steel in this game? Do they not care about the lore? The Brotherhood formed in another couple of decades after this in California. It didn't go east for 100 years or so. Well, that's not actually accurate. The Brotherhood of Steel formed before the bombs even fell. A couple of days before, granted, but still, it's before. There are going to be a few kind of questions surrounding lore, but I can't see Bethesda ignoring them. I'm sure they'll come up with an answer. In the case of the Brotherhood, yeah, they formed before the bombs fell, when the original Maxon went to Mariposa military base, found them experimenting on soldiers with the forced evolutionary virus, turning them into super mutants, and went, hell no, and promptly went AWOL, turned against the US government, declared their independence as a group, and slaughtered all the scientists carrying out the experiments. And that was, as I say, a couple of days before the bombs fell. And then they trek north to find, I think it's north, might be south, one or the other. They go on a trek and find their next base, which is where you find them in the first Fallout game, way back when. So they are around at this point in time. How they get to West Virginia from California, or somewhere out that way, is a good question, but they've got 25 years to do it, and you could do that on foot just about in 25 years. So whether or not they did or not, the only things we've seen so far that actually say the Brotherhood's in the game is somebody's seen Brotherhood fatigues, which makes me think somehow somebody from the Brotherhood has made it to West Virginia, which hopefully they'll explain. And there is a note referencing the Brotherhood. That's all we've seen so far, or all I've seen so far anyway. But if they were around before the bombs fell, it's possible that, and they were in the military originally, so it's possible that the note came via a family member, something like that. So they heard about things going on with the Brotherhood and the opinions of the Brotherhood through a family member who was part of that division and then eventually became part of the Brotherhood of Steel. So there are ways around that. Anyway, is this the right one? I'm confused. I lost me. Who'd you what's it? I think. Yep, there we are. Behave. There we go. So, is there a radio to listen to? Yes, there are no DJs, but there is a radio. new songs, old songs, as you'd expect from a Fallout game. I won't be listening to it very much because I'll be doing most of it through live streaming stuff, and it's a copyright nightmare. In fact, 76 isn't out yet, and I've already had an issue with it, so... Long story short, the owners of the copyright will probably not make me take the video down, but they will probably smother it in their road ads and take all the cash from doing so, so, you know, not worth it to me. Cost caps to fast travel, yes, but not very many. I think about the most expensive cap cost that I've heard mentioned is about 15, so, yeah, it's nothing. Cost caps don't look like they're going to be as useful. There'll be trading between players, and there are some robot vendors. In fact, there are vending machines as well. I've seen all of those in the footage so far. So that'll be cool. But I'd imagine there's slightly less emphasis on caps than previously. Can you trade weapons and are settlements safe from PvP? You can trade weapons with other players, yes. You trade just about anything you want from inventory to inventory, assuming you agree to it. You can't be pickpocketed for it, though. And if you die, you don't lose stuff like that. You can't just take somebody's guns off their corpse. You just get their desk fans and alarm clocks and so on and so forth. Are settlements safe from PvP? Now, I'm very curious about that myself. I'm not quite sure how settlements in PvP are going to work. I'm very interested to find out. I do know that you can destroy other people's settlements. The idea being that it's to prevent people from just sort of building very rapidly around somebody, trapping them and stopping them going anywhere. It's such a griefing that way. So they can just shoot their way out. And it costs very little to rebuild the wall if somebody does that, or whatever it may be. But there's also creatures. We've seen footage of scorched beasts destroying wind farms and stuff, so in that sense your environments, your buildings are more destructible. How that's going to work, I don't really know, because it'd be aggravating to have somebody come along while I'm trying to record a build and start trashing the place. It would be extremely annoying. I don't know if you go into pacifist mode if you can stop that or not, but I'm looking forward to finding that out because it will affect me quite heavily. Unfortunately, with them only getting 3 hours to play the game, there's a limit to just how much they can do and how far they could get. So there's not a great deal on the settlement building. It does look like it's been polished up and made to look better and so on, though. So that's always good. How the missions work with multiple players. You can share different stages. You can be at different stages in the mission. You can share missions. That sort of thing. And other than that, you shoot together. You can loot. Everybody can loot a body and get their own loot roll on it. It's just some of what we've already covered. What will happen? Yes, I've heard about that. How are you finding it? Bleach is yummy, my god. Can't recommend that as a course of action. Unfortunately, its stress test is only on Xbox, so as I'm playing on PC, or will be playing on PC, and frankly I would never be playing on Xbox anyway. I've never played an Xbox apart from about a couple of hours in my life, and I didn't like it much. But yeah, let us know what you think of it. You'll be playing a newer build than the people at Greenbriar did. That build was old when they played it, so it'll be very old by now. What will happen with the nukes? Will eventually the whole map get irradiated, or was it only affecting you? The nukes only affect a small area, and they create a small zone. So they're relatively underpowered nukes, really. However, everybody can run in there and experience it, but it will be highly irradiated, and the creatures, monsters, so on and so forth will all be very high level, so if you're not prepared, you will die very quickly. But you also get much higher rewards out of it, and I believe, from what Bethesda was saying a little while ago, they are temporary. How temporary? I don't know, but it does kind of make sense. How they're going to work that in with it being relating to the fact that the game is, the Fallout world is more destroyed later on, I'm not sure. It's supposed to be, the implication was that the nukes are involved in taking a partially destroyed world after the war and finishing the job. But exactly how that's going to work, well, unsurprising, we don't know. They don't want us to find that out until we actually play the game. It's a bit of a spoiler. So, our mod's going to work out if it's only online. Okay, so we've got a Pip-Boy glitch and a crash. Well, if the stress test works the way they're going to implement the beta, then it's going to be limited time frames anyway. So the Xbox shutoff could be a crash, or it could just be that the time frame that the stress test was active for ended. I don't know which. First glitch, the Pip-Boy wasn't working. Yep, you're going to run into bugs. We kind of know that. I hope you got the opportunity to report the bug. I don't know how... Oh, it's just started, has it? There we go. Did it give you the opportunity to report the bug, or is it done online through forums and stuff? I'm sure it would be done online through forums, but I wonder if there's an in-game reporting mechanism. That would make sense. Stuff I've seen in other games. But yeah, if not, tell them about it, and then they fix it. Get a pen and paper and make notes. But if nobody tells them about their bugs, then they won't know about them and won't fix them, so that's the point of having a beta test. On the other hand, it's also theoretically possible that nobody else gets that bug, but you never know. They are testing for a reason. They did say they expect it to break and break hard early on, which is kind of what they want it to do, so they know where it's going to break and they can fix it. So, anyway, skipping all these questions, and then we can get on with a few more Q&As from you guys. How mod's going to work? That was it. Eventually, they are going to set up private servers, or that's the current plan. They're talking probably about a year from now, though, which is a long time, but we'll probably get additional content between now and then as well, so we'll have to see. But yeah, they won't put mods into the main game, because if you've got mods and somebody else you encounter hasn't, you've got a serious problem. Take, for example, I build a wall using a modded object, and you're trying to shoot me while I'm standing behind it. You know, I'm standing behind a wall, or am I not standing behind a wall? Which is it? Kind of both at the same time, so... Yeah, player mods will have to be separate from shared worlds, so they have to be private. That's what they're planning on doing. Is there any voice chat? Yes, there will be proximity voice chat and team chat implemented. Loot respawn, we've covered that one. Too green, too young. Yeah, well, it's a prequel. It's kind of part of the story of the game that the world isn't, this area isn't as destroyed as others. Plus, it's countryside. People are not, you know, the idea is that they're not nuking countryside and they're nuking cities, you know, Boston, DC, Chicago, so on. Not, you know, the mountains where nobody lives and, you know, the government isn't and stuff like that. What would be the point of nuking that? So... yeah, and it's also, like I say, it's going to factor into the story, I think, as well. It's the vibe I'm getting from them, anyway. So, I'm interested, probably only because a lot of my mates will be playing. I really doubt this will be a good single-player experience. Nice condition is returning, though. Yeah, weapon degradation is back. You'll have to repair it using junk, not using other similar weapons like in previous games, so it'll be more flexible. Single-player-wise, it's going to be tougher. That's kind of what you'd expect. If two people are shooting the same enemy, it's going to go down faster. But the game is specifically designed so you can solo everything if you want. You probably have to take your time and level up a bit more. Make yourself able to deal with the higher enemies, higher level enemies, higher level zones, that sort of thing on your own. But it's doable. Just take a little bit longer. Which is not necessarily a bad thing because it's more playtime. You can only collect wood by clicking collect wood on certain fallen trees. What about all of the other fallen trees? Well, other trees just lying around, standing around, etc. I assume there's got to be some limit somewhere. The more you can interact with, the more the heavy lifting the servers will have to do. I assume it's a practical consideration as much as anything. And yeah, that's all the comments I pulled out. Covers the general gist of what a lot of people were talking about. Looks exactly the same as Fallout 4 and that game wasn't good. Can't say I agree with you there. This is far more colourful than Fallout 4. It's far bigger. There's no NPCs in 76, which there were in Fallout 4. So yeah, that's going to be kind of different. There we have life. It is built off the same model of Fallout as Fallout 4 is, and so is New Vegas with... there we go. So is New Vegas as far as Fallout 3 goes. There are differences, but you know, it's very shortly afterwards, so it's... Why can't I hear anything? Kind of not going to have much luck convincing me that Fallout 4 wasn't good, largely because I've spent the last 3 years playing it pretty much solidly, and I would not have done that if I'd hated it. But not everybody likes it, so... There we go, we have life. Not thunderously deafening life, but we like life anyway. Yeah, let's do that. Where's my thingamajig? There we are. So yeah, I'm just going to faff around for a while on my building save rather than on my survival mode save, because keeping it chill. And yeah, basically keep it chill. Plus, that's specifically video centric. So, now what? Okay. This is not going according to plan. Right. Okay. There we are. Okay, right. Sorry about that. Everything's fine, I just can't see it because I've been faffing and stuff. Right. So, let's get some... Pulling the curtain back a little bit here. Put the HUD back on so I can actually see what I'm doing. So, it seems we're on the building save, and my video won't be out until at least tomorrow. We have a very quick shufty at what you're getting. It's going to be very quick, mind. So. Whoop. Hello. There we go, quick shufty. There's your spoilers. So, I have literally no idea where I am or what I'm actually doing at the moment, because I literally put this save together for... Oh wait, yeah, I've got some idea now. Put the save together for building and not much else, so... I haven't actually done a whole lot of the main game. What can I get rid of that I don't need? That. This can go, that can go, that can go. Don't need that. Fine, not worried about that. Don't need to worry about that. I'm not playing on survival mode, so I don't need to worry about the weight. Well, not as much anyway. Not at all now. Yeah, I've got a level. I think I've got medic, sneak, piece armor, demolition expert. You know what? Actually, I'm going to go with sneak, I think. Cool. Find out where on earth I'm actually going. Crikey, I'm absolutely sweltering in there right now. There we are, yep. We'll go and get Nick out of Park Street Station. That seems fine to me. What place can we get? All the way there from the look of this. Nice. Yeah, because I've been past it on the way to Good Neighbour, haven't I? I've definitely been to Good Neighbour at some point. Probably, definitely. There's one definitely good thing about 76 being built off the same foundation, shall we say, as Fallout 4, and that's that a lot of the skills and stuff from Fallout 4 will be very transferable. What I've seen of settlement buildings, a few things have been tweaked. A few different building pieces, stuff like that, higher resolution, they look better. And yeah. But other than that, I'd imagine a lot of the skills we learnt pre-mods on consoles, and presumably on PC as well, will transfer quite reasonably over, I'd imagine. I don't think they've fundamentally changed the building mechanics. Oh, by the way, say hello to Codsworth. He's looking rather badass right now.
Hey.
I'm all ears.
Hey, Codsworth.
Another is already in the works.
Hoping he'd have something interesting to say, but apparently not. So, I can't actually remember what weapons I've got, because it's been that long since I've actually fought anything with this character. Automatic, instigating, crippling the legs, and that's melee. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I thought for just why not, I'd play with an automatic weapon in this one, see how that goes. I don't usually do that in Fallout. I might end up doing that in 76 though, because I've got a hunch that's going to be quite effective, seeing as VATS is going to be less reliable. Speaking of, obviously it's in real time, and you have to upgrade your skills in order to use more advanced versions, like selecting specific body parts. But even so,
joining Skinny Malone's crew was the best decision we've ever
even so, you wind up.
I
still say Malone's weak. He caught that detective snooping around him. What does he do?
Yeah, with it being in real time.
He ain't got the balls to just kill him.
Where'd that come from?
Right about there. Yeah. With it being in real time, rather. I'm over here, buddy.
Every second you hide.
Try to get beat up, hostile light. Here for the detective.
Yeah, he does make this rather easy. I think he's killed everybody already. So yeah. Thinking, talking, playing. Difficult combination.
Well, hello there.
So yeah, I think it was going to be most useful for tagging fast-moving targets, stuff like that. You know, if you've got a ghoul diving headlong at you, that is going to be far, far more useful. I swear there was a... Yeah, I knew one of these was trapped. Okay. I think there's much in here. I'll have to get back into the habit of picking up tons and tons of junk eventually. There's obviously with building at the moment, That wouldn't surprise me massively. I have no idea whether or not there's an NDA on it, but it sounds like there is a non-disclosure agreement on the stress test. There's not for a beta, but yeah, it doesn't surprise me much on the stress test. This is Fallout 4, by the way. It does say so in the title. Better add unless it hasn't saved. Which would be heckin' annoying, but also not surprising. Looks like, well, I'm glad to hear it. They did say they were going to improve it and that the build was, like, old even at the time they were playing it at Greenbriar, but, you know, 4K 30 FPS is the goal, so if people are playing at lower resolutions than 4K, report it all you like. I'm actually talking about Fallout 76, that's the point. The title pretty much spells it out. Come out wherever you are. I'll do it. If you can't read, that's not my fault, mate. There, that's the one I want. Splat. Ooh, legendary, that's inconvenient. Pull back a bit. Oh, crikey, they're still coming. Oh well. That works too. Yeah. Cos was too quick on the draw there.
This is a common sight these days. I'm sure some would even call this clean.
We enjoy Cosworth's banter. Nothing of any interest there. At least body parts over here. Nope, I think I've already looted this way. Going through here on survival mode was quite frustrating. Not having a great deal of carry weight made it a lot more difficult, especially as I kept finding things I wanted to carry. Funnily enough. A little too far.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot. Don't trigger floor-based traps anymore. It's slightly more difficult. Okay, that's frustrating.
Sweet.
Little anticlimactic after all that. There we go. Thing. Where's my mouse gone? It's over there. it. One thing I am looking forward to about switching over to PC is I'll be able to, well, using a mouse and keyboard in short to aim with, seeing as VATS is going to be overwhelmingly less useful. Fire automatic weapons in this game is, meh, well, Fallout 4 here, rather awkward. But, damn sight easier when you've got a mouse and keyboard. There'll be some friends around here somewhere. One, two, three. Come on, take him.
Caution, Mum. I do believe something is... Aha! There you are! Come out and fight!
Well, if he's going to stand in front of me, that's going to make it a bit more difficult. Do it. Legendary from the sound of that, I'm guessing, but I think Cods was still on the job anyway. Yep. Just a glowing pile of ash, nice and easy. This particular save is modded up to the hilt, so it's ridiculously easy to play the game. Ridiculously easy. That's kind of the idea, just set things up for quick and easy setups for builds more than anything else. Save the proper gameplay for the survival mode playthrough. Nice. I do like that little addition. Bolt doors are locked to anybody who hasn't got a Pip-Boy, in theory. I'm guessing they must have found the door open when they got here, the trigger men. I don't know, I don't think you can open it from the inside without Pip-Boy either. This is huge and metal. Here we go.
Still got some fight left in ya?
Oh yeah.
Where'd you go? You little rat!
Ah! Where's your noggin? There it is. Splat. Definitely don't really need to be picking very much up on this particular save.
So I got a question. Why the hell would anyone build a vault out of a subway station? This place is like the opposite of airtight.
Because they weren't planning to use it, you moron.
Oh, back.
All this kind of con all the time back before the war. Get a bunch of union boys to work some construction job that would go nowhere. Keep everyone on payroll. Hey.
Yeah, fine. What's this way too OP? He's kind of taking the fun out of it. I think when I get out of here, if I do a bit more, I'll probably send him on his merry way. Nobody here, buddy. It's more like it. Yeah, that wasn't. You'd think with 50% odds it'd actually hit twice, but once and two. What the hell, man? Randomly invulnerable fella. There we go, that's better.
Caution, Mum. I think something.
Yeah, goddammit. Got you now.
What's all this then?
Burn.
You don't suppose this vault was
No, I can't either. Remember rightly, they didn't get it finished in time. I'm sure it wasn't the only one. I don't think there's anybody down here. We're good. There we go. Into the main part. One thing I did find kind of interesting, kind of got the impression about Vault 76 specifically, that certainly from Bethesda's marketing, that you were going to be the only person in the vault by the time you actually load into it, because everybody else has already left. Go away. But apparently, you can actually start in different rooms. There's 4 or 5 of them, I think. As you obviously start off in your own like living quarters, and you can actually see other players running around inside the vault sometimes, or at least you can before you leave the room, because I've actually seen it. But
hey, you! I don't know who you are, but we got 3 minutes before they realize muscles for brains ain't coming back. Get this door open.
you gotta love Nick Valentine. Yeah, it's... So I've seen people running around outside from inside your own apartment, running around outside on the main floor of the vault. But I don't know if that's actually going to be a big thing, because there's things you have to pick up on the way out, so... That, and they're not in containers multiple points, so that could be awkward. Interesting to see how it manifests.
Perfect.
Nice.
Damsel in distress scenario. Question is, why did our heroine risk life and limb for an...
My baby's missing. His name's Sean. He was kidnapped.
Should
but
be
I don't
straight
know
to the
who
interview
took
in the
him or
vault.
where they went.
Missing kid, huh? Well, you came to the right man, if not the right place. I've been cooped up in here for weeks. Turns out the runaway daughter I came here to find wasn't kidnapped. She's Skinny Malone's new flame. And she's got a mean streak. Anyway,
A large
you got
baseball bat, if I
troubles?
remember rightly.
I'm glad to help. But now ain't the time. Let's blow this joint. Then we'll talk.
Gotta love Nick's film noir vibe.
Malone's crew here used to be small time. Muscled out of the old neighborhood by bigger players. Till they found this place. Don't know what happened to the previous owners, but they're not exactly around to charge rent. Empty vault. Perfect hideout.
I'm guessing that the bigger players must be Hancock, as he's supposed to be from Good Neighbor. Get him alone, that bit.
Some of them coming. There they are. How do you want to play this?
His only job is to check on the prisoner. Why does that take so fucking long, huh? Hey, Dino, quit razzing that detective and get down here. Where the heck is he?
Yeah, I moved yourself. Stay put. Come on, give me that noggin. You can knock that off. Yeah, this is getting annoying now. Teamwork. I don't think I've ever actually tried to sneak through here, to be honest. Never seemed to see much point in it.
Hard and loud, huh? Well, gets the job done. Bad for whoever cleans up the floors.
Would need the key.
Oh yeah, Nick's gonna have to deal with that, isn't he?
This door's on the fritz. Let me see if I can get it open.
early on this was a pretty good place to pull quite a lot of
Almost got it. There we are.
crafting resources out of junk items and stuff. There's a heck of a lot packed in down here. Some of it's quite rare stuff as well. Not really an issue now we've got mods, but we will be back to doing that before too long. Do things the old-fashioned way. Bye.
Wait a minute.
If I remember rightly.
Perfect.
Yep. I think his house is on fire.
More stairs? Who built this damn vault? Fitness instructor?
Ah! Nice work, Codsworth. Thought there were more of them up here than that. Guess that guy on the stairs must have been the third one then.
Skinny Malone and the rest of his boys are waiting for us somewhere. The name's, ironic, but don't let that fool you. He's dangerous. Another locked door. Shouldn't be too hard.
Now then, if I remember rightly,
Okay.
404 is bugged at this particular point. And using guns doesn't tend to work very well.
But I hear big fat footsteps on the other side.
Bats, on the other hand,
Step through this door, get ready for anything.
it's an entirely different matter. Sake of this probably going horribly wrong.
Nicky, what are you doing? You come into my house, shoot up my guys? You have any idea how much this is gonna set me back?
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for your two-timing dame, Skinny. You ought to tell her to write home more often.
Oh, poor little Valentine. Ashamed you got beat up by a girl. I'll just run
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
Daddy, shall I?
Should've left it alone, Nicky. This ain't the old neighborhood. In this vault, I'm king of the castle. You hear me? And I ain't letting some private dick shut us down now that I finally got a good thing going.
I told you we should have just killed him! But then you had to get all sentimental. All that stupid crap about the old times.
Darla, I'm handling this. Skinny Malone's
Little domestic
always got
going on
things
there.
under control.
Oh yeah? Then what's this lady doing here, huh? Valentine must have brought her here to rub us all out.
Yeah, not a pencil drawing.
Darla, listen to me. You have a home to go back to. You don't want to throw your life away with these thugs.
You're right! What am I doing? I've gotten
That
all
was
mixed up.
remarkably easy.
Darla, where are you going?
Home, Skinny, where I should have been all this time. This is goodbye for us.
Oh, come on, Nicky. You cost me my men, now you and your friend cost me my girl?
My friend here just did you a favor, Skinny. You always did have bad taste in women. Now that she's not around to feed that temper of yours, maybe you'll see sense and let us walk. You still owe me for 2 weeks in the hole.
You smug, overconfident ass. Get out of here! All right, you get to the count of 10. I still see your face after that. I'm gunning both of you down.
We better get out of here.
I'll take that as take him at his word there. Be nice and actually not just, brutally murder him for no particular reason. I'm sure I could find a reason, but... rock and roll. Yeah, of course, we're going into central Boston. That's why the loading screen's so long. Another thing I'm curious to see with the 76 when we eventually get our hands on it. Is that Valentine? No, that's just... there he is. Just a mannequin in the street. Is how the dungeons work out. That's all we've seen really so far is a few overland areas and not really very many internal spaces, so pretty interesting to try out.
Hey, Valentine.
Are you ready to talk? How do you know to find me down in that old vault?
Your secretary, Ellie. She sent me.
She did? I should give her a raise. Now,
Probably, yeah.
mention something about your son, Sean, how he went missing. I want you to come to my office in Diamond City. Give me all the details. Besides, I think you've earned a chance to sit down and clear your head.
I'll meet you there.
See you in Diamond City.
And there we go. New map's going to be interesting in 76. It's external to the Pip-Boy, which has got some mixed responses. Which I can kind of understand. It's kind of a staple, almost archetype hit at this stage that the map's part of the Pip-Boy, which is fine. However, sometimes like there, getting hold of some of those map markers is challenging, so I'm hoping it'll be a little bit easier with this larger map in 76. Not sure about the cartoon kind of drawn effect of the whole thing, but...
You watch your step. Got my eye on you.
really does draw you in with all the signs, doesn't it?
Ellie? Are you here?
Nick?
Ah, there she is.
Oh God, it's really you.
Well, it's hard to mistake this mug for anyone else.
That's true enough.
You keep laughing at Dad. Someday, Dad's gonna laugh back.
So you keep mistaken for his brother, but...
Friends to back me up.
You saved Nick, this agency, and my job. Thank you.
Happy to do it.
Yeah? Go diving into scary pre-war ruins all the time then, do ya?
Pretty much, yeah.
I know an amount wasn't on the table when you went out to find him, but you deserve a reward. Plus a little something extra. You know, if you're looking for work and don't mind putting on the detective hat...
Yeah, Nick's outfit. Or a copy of, which is kind of good.
One case at a time, Ellie. Our new friend needs our help first. All right, let's get down to business. Take a seat. Make yourself comfortable.
So she rocks it, shall we? It's not bad. Not bad at all, actually. I think the hat needs to come off. That would add curiosity. Definitely needs to come off now. It makes the head look tiny. Where is it? There it is. Front of my face. There we go. Nothing to see here. No, just wallop your desk fan halfway across the room.
Who's gone missing. The devil is in the details. Tell me everything you can, no matter how painful it might be.
We're looking for my baby, Sean. He's less than a year old. Why would anyone take him?
Good question. Why your family in particular? Why an infant? Someone would be taking on all of his care, and a baby needs a lot of it. What else can you tell me?
Fair enough.
We were in a vault when it happened. Vault 111. It was some kind of cryo facility.
You were on ice, huh? More importantly, you were underground, sealed up. It's a lot of obstacles to get through just to take one person. Anything else you remember?
There was a man and a woman. They didn't say much, but I remember they called me the backup.
So we're talking a small team. Professionals. The kind that know to keep their lips tight when they're on the job. Not sure what the backup means, though. Well, that confirms it. This isn't a random kidnapping. Whoever took your kid had an agenda.
Yep,
There's a
pretty
lot
much.
of groups in the Commonwealth that take people. Raiders, super mutants, the Gunners, and of course there's the Institute.
Well, pretty much sure we can rule out super mutants.
Super mutants. What are they?
Big, green, muscles on muscles. In other words, hard to
Dumber than
miss.
rocks.
I think we can safely rule them out.
Right, little thing. Curious about something here.
You think raiders might have done this?
I honestly doubt it. They can barely organize themselves, let alone pull off something.
Interesting. Well, should be fine. Blood tweak, I think.
Get hit in the head? I can relate.
Yes, it rather looks like you can, Nick. Right.
Who are the Gunners?
High-end mercenaries. No job too...
Might as well it's so loud.
They're in the running as likely suspects. They wouldn't be the ones pulling the strings.
Be a little better. So
you think this
The obvious one.
institute is responsible?
Well, they're the boogeymen of the Commonwealth. Something goes wrong, everyone blames them. Easy to see why. Those early model synths of theirs strip whole towns for parts, killing everything in their way. Then you got the newer models, good as human, that infiltrate cities and pull strings from the shadows. Worst of all, no one knows why they do it, what their plan is, or where they are. Not even me. And I'm a synth myself. A discarded prototype, anyway.
it always struck me as strange that you hadn't figured out that Nick was a synth, or the implication was that you might not have figured it out. Because you've almost certainly heard of, well, you have certainly heard of him by the time you run into Nick, and it's fairly obvious as to what he is.
The silent route.
You're a prototype?
As far as I know. Never seen any other synth like myself. There's the older ones that are dumb as rocks and all metal, and there's the newer ones that are almost human. I'm somewhere in between.
You don't know anything about them. Really?
Some kind of security setting strips or blocks out those memories. And it's not just me. Any synth that gets trashed, left behind, or escapes the Institute has the same problem. Probably some kind of failsafe.
Wonder how they activate that, though. I don't think it was ever stated, whether it's automatic or done by remote. Remote seems more likely, but...
Either way, I need to find Sean.
You're right. The speculation is getting us off track. Let's focus on what you saw. What did these kidnappers look like?
One of them came right up to me. Bald head, scar across his left eye.
Always try and do this bit with a kind of...
You didn't hear the name Kellogg at all.
I was going to say I always try and do this in a kind of logical order, but it doesn't make a right lot of sense that you jump straight to that based on that one, son.
Who is he? Do you think he has Sean?
I guess I don't usually start there.
Way too big of a coincidence. Ellie, what notes do we have about the Kellogg case?
The description matches. Bald head, scar, reputation for dangerous mercenary work, but no one knows who his employer is.
And he bought a house here in town, right? And he had a kid with him, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. The house in the abandoned West Stands. The boy with him was around 10 years old.
Given the game heavily implies on you assuming that Sean is still a child, an infant in fact, the sort of "it's Sean" answer seems strange. Try to wallop me, Mike.
You said he lives here? He's still in town?
They both vanished a while back, if I'm remembering right. But that house is still there. Let's you and I take a walk over to Kellogg's last known address. See if we can snoop out where he went.
Security doesn't really go to that part of town, but you two should still be careful.
I always...
Security does kind of walk past the bottom of the staircase, though, so it's not exactly far away.
You've really gone through a lot, haven't you? Hope you and Nick find that monster.
It always struck me as a little odd that the game implies that any part of Diamond City is actually dangerous, because, like, it just isn't. There's almost no conflict unless you go and start shooting people, or robbing them. Oh yeah, Nick has a chat to have, doesn't he?
But I think you should know. Everything I dug up about Kellogg before his disappearance is bad news. He's more than just a mercenary. He's a professional. Quick, clean, thorough. Has no enemies, because they're all dead. Except you. 9 to 1 odds says he's our man. It's more than just you identifying his distinguishing features. The MO is all him as well. Leading a small team to kidnap a baby and leaving one of the parents alive for later? Not many mercs in the Commonwealth can pull that off.
It's not particularly hard when there's no resistance, though. Like, effectively nobody to catch you.
Here we are. Keep an eye out, will you? Let's see if I can get this open.
That's one thing I will miss. Like, Diamond City is definitely one of the coolest areas in the game in terms of like its aesthetic and everything. A little stuck in same kind of a texture setup. A lot of it's very, very similar. There's a lot of these green and brown panels, but it is quite a cool place. That will be one thing that's at least partially missing from... a bit I can. At least partially missing from 76, but... I guess we'll be building our own. Well, we certainly will anyway. Probably too far. One thing I've noticed with every Fallout game and every Skyrim game in particular, the little image of the lock here in the lockpicking mini game, for want of a better word, always gets higher and higher resolution every time. You can almost tell what game you're playing just from how good the lock looks.
Kellogg must have left something behind.
Now, the point of the exercise is to talk about Fallout 76 more than play Fallout 4. This is just kind of filler.
Like
Yeah, I thought I remembered there being something upstairs other than that.
Nothing here. Check out that desk.
Yep, why did nothing happen though?
That's one way to hide a room. Well, look at this.
Lots and lots of goodies. Yeah, pipe gun. Which actually get kind of useful in, I think like that, 76. I'm looking forward to.
Gwyneth stout beer, 44 caliber bullets, cigars, San Francisco sunlights.
Interesting brand. Won't lead us anywhere on its own, though.
I wonder if dog meat could pick up the scent.
Say, that's not a bad idea. Some dogs out there in the Commonwealth can track a man for miles. Why don't you go fetch him and let him have a whiff? See if he picks up the trail. Before you head out, I know this is personal business. If you have to face Kellogg on your own, just say so. Besides, you already have plenty of company. You can't all go sniffing through the Commonwealth after one man.
Yeah, we'll do it without Nick, I think. As much fun as he is.
Hopefully not forever. I want to see you and your kids safe and sound when you get back. Good luck. Anytime you need help, just come knocking.
Well, sadly not going to go that way, but we know.
Good to be back in Diamond City.
I'm sure it is. Anyhow. Where's my huge mill? What's it? It's over here. So, I need a short break. Trip to the bathroom and so on and so forth. So, if you guys happen to want to take the opportunity to do the same thing, it'll be, now will be as good a time as any if I get my words out. So, yeah. If you've got any further questions regarding 76 or anything you want to ask, talk about, etc., get an opinion on, whatever, do let me know, and I'll be back in about 5 minutes or so. He returneth. So, go and hunt down a fellow who thoroughly deserves it. Yeah. PlayStation controller, not the mouse, might help. It is getting rather dark. Go on then, dog mate.
Get the scent, boy. Got something, boy?
Rock and roll. People have been asking if dog meat's going to figure in 76 as well, and it seems that that's a negative on that particular front, which is a little sad, but... It would be cool to have him in there, but even if he's not as a companion, if he just figured in some way, that'd be quite cool. But then again, just because they've said no, it doesn't mean he doesn't figure in some way. Random building pieces on the floor. Remember, there's a point just on the way up to Fort Hagen coming up. You can often run into a Yao guy, which is fine most of the time, but when you're doing it on survival mode, as I did way back when, that's one of the first occasions you actually run into them. And I got absolutely shredded by it the first time I did. Like, oh, this will be fine. Oh, wait, no, it really won't. I did see in some of the footage of 76 people fighting a Deathclaw. The Deathclaw was only about level 25, so more than you can take on your own, I think, but as a group of 4, they didn't seem to have too much trouble. Yeah, I won't need that just yet. Gonna be, yeah. Interesting. It looks like 76, you can reasonably manage to take on solo enemies a few levels higher than you are. But once you get more than sort of 5, 6, 7 or so levels higher...
San Francisco sunlights. Kellogg's
yeah, once you get more than a few levels higher, you end up with
okay,
a bit more of a problem.
Let's track him.
Come on. Good dog. But, yeah. It definitely seems to be... I mean, Bethesda have been saying that you can play solo if you want to. It definitely seems to be the case that that's certainly manageable, if a little bit harder. I'm hoping I'll get the opportunity to do a little bit of both, but we'll see what happens. Oh. This one's a bit more troubling. There. That one's actually got me. Can't mistake that green glow. Oh, he got to. There he is. There you go. I'd have somebody suggest to use Workbench anywhere and do a settlement, or at least a play at home type build, something like that, in a location like this. It'd be quite cool. I'm running somewhat out of time on that front, unfortunately, but like he didn't have too much trouble with the turret. Something got him.
Bloody bandages. Dog meat can track this. I'll need your nose to track Kellogg, boy.
Yeah, still back on the ground.
Boy. Let's track him.
And random raider, he definitely didn't do so well. looking forward to trying out some of the new guns as well. There's some that are old returning guns from previous games, and some that are just outright new. So it should be quite cool to see what's there, what works well, what doesn't work as well, especially with that being likely to take a back seat. Anything interesting over here? Sentinel's leather left arm. No, I don't think so. Yeah, take it. Now we get into Yoway territory. Possibly, maybe. Somewhere around here. And there we go. Told you. Where are you? Well, that makes it an awfully large amount easier. Really need any of that. One thing I was looking at recently, so it's a couple of months old now, but a YouTuber I occasionally stopped by who did a full-length documentary on Fallout 3. Which was quite interesting, actually. It was addressing the somewhat prevailing attitude that Fallout 3 isn't actually all that good, which is not an opinion I share, to say the least. And it was talking about actually the strong points of it. One of the things it was saying is you don't always know what you're going to run into. It's a little bit less predictable than some of the games are. And it'd be interesting to see just how well that works in 76. How predictable are the enemy locations? Is everything always the same?
A decoy, huh? Clever.
Okay. Can't deselect that when I'm pointing at it, but when I'm pointing beside it, I'm fine. He decided to chill out here, did he? One thing they do quite well with this quest, and hopefully there's a similar attention to detail in 76, albeit, is that, yeah, there's a weird one. One of my mods is supposed to repair Professor Goodfield, so you can actually like use him as a settler and various other things, and actually have him function properly, because in the base game he's a little bit bust. For some reason, he just rolls up in the most strange places now. Like, what on earth is he doing here? He turned up in Jamaica Plains a couple of times. It's turned up in the castle more than once as well. It's weird.
May I help you?
I think you're supposed to come over here. Has he got you already? Maybe he has. Ah, hello there. Guess you missed them, buddy.
I was just getting warmed up.
It's slightly ridiculous. I think we've got to send Codsworth on his merry way, because he's not actually... Well, he's very helpful, but he's also a little bit too helpful.
Take this.
I think it's best if we went our separate ways.
As you wish, Mum. I'll be at the homestead. Cheerio.
Oh good, I was slightly concerned I couldn't choose where to send him then. If you want him to go back to the castle, I'll pick him up in a bit. But he had something interesting to say for a minute. Well, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
Tracking known mercenary. Exercise extreme caution.
What have we here?
Error. System corrupt. I can't feel my legs.
Can't say I'm particularly surprised by that. Assaultron trader. Interesting that he decided to kill a trader. Okay.
Lost the scent, boy?
So, what's the problem then? Ah! I see, there it is.
Another one of his stogies.
Yeah, if you try and run straight from Vault 111 to Fort Hagen, which actually I did, you won't find evidence of Kellogg being there. You can't get into the main building at all, and his turrets aren't there either, I don't think. Most of the defenses sets up when he gets there. It's not until you go and trigger the whole thing with, oh, it's this guy called Kellogg along with Nick, we've just done, that he actually sort of turns up there. Got a cool bit of attention to detail. It'll be interesting to see if that sort of thing does manifest itself in a game that you have multiple people at different points in the same quest. I have a feeling it won't work the same way and you can just jump ahead, but the main story involves finding the Overseer. Come on. There we go. Can you just jump straight to wherever she ends up being? Probably not very easily, because it's likely to be quite a high-level area, so if you're underprepared, it probably will not end well, but obviously there been no, I suppose, sentient human-esque NPCs.
Is this our man?
I wonder how the thing with the Overseer is actually going to work. If you do catch up with her, is she going to be dead? Is she going to be the one exception? Come on.
Kellogg's still out there. We've got to track him, boy.
There we go. Give him a little nudge and he'll get going. I did notice a comment somebody left on one of many videos that was saying, I think it was somebody who actually lives in West Virginia, saying that the map has some areas in, but it leaves out a lot of areas quite close to places it includes. I was wondering, well, why would they do that? Here we are, nearly there. And part of it, I assume, is just because, well, the map's already 4 times the size of Fallout 4. Moving targets for the controller. Okay, it's running into a dog meat doing down here. I don't think it should be down here. No, it's just attacking the red stack. So, yeah, it includes certain areas, but leaves out others. Partly, yeah, I think because of the size of the game is that big already. Partly because it gives them extra areas that they can then add in subsequently of the additional content. It doesn't look like the game's going to be short on content on release day. Quite the opposite, in fact, I think. Nice. I'm guessing this is just something they can expand on if they want to add more to the map later.
Is this the place?
But how that'll actually work, I don't know.
Is he in here, boy?
Or you'll have to sort of travel to a new map zone. Sort of like Far Harbour or the Pit. So, numerous ways to get in. Oh, crap. Wasn't quite what I had in mind. Is there any more around this side? No, there's one more. Oh, there you go. Nice. There's another one. There's at least one more. Yeah, we're still in caution, so... Where are you? There you are. Kind of disguised by whatever on earth those things are. And we'll head on in. Kind of weird not to be worrying too much about looting. Might have made a mess. Especially given that we're going to have to start worrying about looting a very great deal fairly soon. The outfits thing looks quite interesting. They've switched things up so that you can wear your armour underneath outer layers of clothing, so you can get the full protective benefits, but also style your character a bit more if you want. Which is quite cool. Obviously the major reason for, well, one of the major reasons behind doing that is so they can sell cosmetics, but... Hello, boys. Got a hard... If they're giving out... How did dog meat get there? If they're giving out large quantities of... Well, large quantities of free DLC, or expansions, or whatever you want to call them. Nice if it actually shot when I needed it to. Gotcha. And they, yeah, if they're giving out plenty more content, then they're going to need to fund it somehow. Down you go. Hear footsteps somewhere. Turret in the next room. Yeah, good luck with that, boys. Really? Oh, I see. Mark 7. That explains a lot. Look, I'm pretty sure I told you not to be a companion, but whatever. It's a good one. They seem to be on fire, though.
How you doing, buddy?
Kellogg has ordered your termination.
Not particularly close.
How you doing, buddy? Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, great. Yeah, well, probably because there's still somebody around. What's in here? Must be downstairs, I guess. There we go. I got him. Evening, how are we doing? No, they won't be able to. At the current juncture, there is absolutely no plans for crossplay. It's not particularly surprising, given that PlayStation would have been excluded from that until very, very recently. And if I understand correctly, it requires quite the fundamental change in the way the game is put together, so it's not something they want to do in a rush. They might change their mind on it later, but as it currently stands, they're not planning on including crossplay. Oh, hell no!
Was unsuccessful, and now you must die.
He has a missile launcher. Oh, good job, dog mate, actually. I'll let you have that one. You took him down. Got him. There's the other one. I'm a little curious as to exactly why they're not including crossplay. I think a big part of it is just because PlayStation wouldn't have got it until, you know, a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't even an option. I'd imagine, in the interest of not shutting out PlayStation players any more than they had to, that'll poison his missile launcher. You get some weird combinations sometimes. Yeah, I imagine because they don't want to shut people out, that'll have a large, or play a large part in why they haven't included it. And with the game obviously having been in development for, what, 3 years plus now? Changing that fundamental architecture to support it is what I understand they would have to do, is not really on the radar at the moment. They might change their mind later, but they have said taking into account player feedback is something they very much want to do, so I have no doubt there'll be a lot of people saying, we want crossplay. I can kind of understand that. I'm kind of a little on that particular boat as well. If you've never played a Fallout game before... So... I suppose the question is whether or not the basic premise appeals. It's multiplayer, but can be played solo if you want. It's post-apocalyptic, open world. We haven't got the NPC angle, but although there's plenty of questing to be done. There's a lot of crafting, maintenance of weapons, that sort of thing. Hearing a number of mixed opinions on the role-playing thing. Some people think it'd be harder to do, some people think it would be just fine. Not something I'll be putting too much effort into personally, I don't think.
Hello? You put on your attempt at stealth has failed.
Deal with this chap. Oh, come on, really? What's it going to take to kill you, you sod? Oh, crap. Getting a little tag teamed here. Oh, crap, I'm still getting tag teamed. Let's fall back and bottleneck them a little bit. Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Hopefully that's slowed them down a little bit. Slowed him down. Come on. Oh yeah, that took some doing. But a synth leader was there. Sturdy armor, that explains a lot. Take a look at some of the footage. Like I say, there's a lot more now than there was a few, a week ago. So you can actually get a decent look at it and see what the game looks like and basic premise behind how it plays. See whether or not it looks like something you might be interested in. As by my count, there should be around about 90 hours or so of footage on YouTube now. I've heard people saying there should be there's hundreds, but unless you're counting recycled footage, that doesn't really add up. As far as I can tell, there's only about 30 people at the Greenbriar event. Only. There's 30 more people than we've had playing the game before, I suppose. Yeah, there's a terminal to open that. It's probably quite disappointing when I open that.
Security's too tight.
Never mind. Head on downstairs and actually get some story going. 76 is going to be different to other Fallout games. There's no two ways about it. No NPCs. You're going to run into people who can actually attack you, and will therefore, admittedly, you can choose not to engage in PvP if you so desire. But it's going to it'll be interesting if you do choose to go for PvP. Obviously, they're going to pose unique and more complex challenges than AI-controlled. I'm sure there's a trap around here somewhere. Than AI-controlled enemies will. Really? There's the cover. I'm hoping I can do this in Fallout 76, because this is quite a handy thing to be able to do when VATS is being a pain. See, just like that. Oh, damn, he didn't put his noggin back where it was, that's a bit annoying. Come on. It's not getting the instigating bonus. But at least I'm headshotting him now. Yeah, come on. There we go. That was not quite what I wanted to do. Come on. Apparently, in Fallout 76, you cannot pick... There we go. I knew there was a trap here somewhere.
It would appear my target has disappeared.
It would appear your target has disappeared. And it would disappear? Or appear? I don't know. Grammatically quite interesting.
Destroy intruder. Be warned, I cannot allow these attacks to continue.
And how do you propose to stop it, friend? And I run scared, apparently.
Last time we met, you were cozying up to the peas and apple cobbler.
I distracted myself there. I forgot what I was going to ramble on about. Come back to me in a second, I'm sure. Turrets and traps. I wish the positional audio was a little better in this.
Sorry, your house has been a wreck for 200 years, but I don't need a roommate. Leave.
I just wondered why he decided to fort up here. I can never really remember. I know he got a mission to go into the Glowing Sea and hunt down Virgil. He never gets to complete because see of, well, the player. But why set up Fort Hagen as his base? Or move out here? Possibly because he's got too much of a profile in Diamond City, I suppose, but...
Never expected you to come knocking on my door. Gave you 50-50 odds of making it to Diamond City. After that, figured the Commonwealth would chew you up like jerky.
I have detected you.
Oh, I got him. That's something I'd like to not be a thing. I was holding shoot there and nothing happened. Because I started clicking it before the gun was fully up. Definitely would prefer it if it was not a thing. Although I've run into similar sort of things in other games. So.
Is someone present?
I'm going to hit his head with that. Just stay put, buddy. I've got one here.
Attacking human.
Attacking synth.
Calculating most efficient attack.
Job's a good one.
Look, you're pissed off, I get it, I do. But whatever you hope to accomplish in here, it's not gonna go your way.
We'll just see about that, won't we? I have to admit, I'm curious about the cosmetic items they're supposed to be adding. Forward to seeing what we're going to get. I like styling my characters and stuff, making them look a little bit more interesting. It's cool that you'll be able to have the benefits of both armor and... Oh, you're there. Cosmetic outfits. It's the bogs, isn't it? Get back there, though. Guess my health must have dropped a bit. Gotcha. Where was the door? There's definitely one on the right somewhere around here. Maybe it's downstairs. Yeah, it's downstairs. There's enough all that way. Yes, you are, buddy. Yep, he won't be around for much longer. Nice. One of the many things that I'm curious about regarding settlement building in 76, apart from the whole how will it work with particularly the griefing thing, is that like camps you can back up and move, but if you build something that is not snapped together, you know, you like basically group select stuff together and put buildings together that way, like I often do. Just how well is it going to work when you try and blueprint them and move them? I did see a good question about whether or not junk decoration will work the same way. In the sense that, you know, if you put stuff like this down, if you then blueprint, pack up and move somewhere else, do you still get the same decoration or not? Which is an interesting question, one I've not seen even anything remotely close to an answer to. Partly because we just haven't seen that much about the camp system, other than the fact it's there. I think a lot of it's just down to the fact that although there is a strong settlement building community, I think, sadly, we're in a bit of a minority on that front. Come on, let me over here. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. There we go. There's a bobblehead in here somewhere. Not very much in here, I don't think. Nice.
Nice.
Yep, I'm stuck in a corner.
Sensor anomaly detected.
Oh yeah. Ah! Yeah. Bleeding sods. That went well. Wonder why I didn't get the throwing arc guy. You're going to regret it when I do. Wishes you've got no arms, I don't think. What are you going to do? Bite my ankles? Oh, there was a second one. Where did he go? Oh. Is that him? Oh, there was a second one. Maybe not. This is the point where I get jumped in the back, I think. Oh yeah, I knew there was something down here. There you are. Oh, holy crap. Let's back up a little bit if he's got a large skull next to his name. Broke it up, zoomed in a bit more than I needed it to. I can't say I'm playing a dog meat build, unfortunately. It's a little unplanned, but yeah, dog meat's great fun. Especially as you can keep the benefits of Lone Wanderer and still have dog meat. What the hell was that? Frustration, this was.
Fascinating.
Yeah, recoil control with this gun is not exactly easy.
Hey.
Seems to have helped himself. We're not big on running over there and stimpacking him in the middle of a fight. That seems like a fast way to just get badly hurt. Not that that's really a problem in this particular save, but...
Over your head in ways you can't possibly comprehend.
Well, we'll see about that, won't we, buddy?
It's not too late. Stop. Turn around and leave. You have that option. Not a lot of people can say that.
Where did I get the... Yeah, I knew there was a second turret somewhere. That is a very, very useful ability. Unfortunately, one I won't be getting in 76. I do play on survival difficulty, actually. I'm just not doing it right now. I'm actually sort of, I don't know, significant way through what is, to me at least, the last DLC for this game. Over on my YouTube channel, which is Far Harbour, and I've played all that on survival mode. But for the purposes of this, which is admittedly primarily chatting about Fallout 76... Oh yeah, I thought that was locked as well. Playing on survival difficulty didn't really seem all that worthwhile. Especially as it'll knacker up my video making a little bit. Just in case. That's interesting? No, I didn't think so. And I mean, I could have started a new save for this, but again, there's one part of the game we've all seen the most of, is probably Vault 111.
Bingo.
Also knew this was coming up, and it's a fun bit of the game, so. It does take some of the challenge out when it's just dead center at the top, but to be honest, I kind of don't mind it at this stage, especially not. It'll be different in 76. So one of the big things in Fallout 3 that made it so much fun way back when was that it felt more like a struggle for survival than Fallout 4 does. With the exception of some elements of survival mode. This game on the whole is not the hardest one out there. I'm playing on very hard difficulty right now, and you know, it's not exactly very hard. But yeah, it was 76. I'm hoping it'll feel a bit more like a struggle, and you know, managing ammo and such like. I think should be you know, resources, stuff like that. Hopefully that will be quite difficult to do, and it'll make the thing feel like a bit more of a I'm struggling to survive in a post-apocalyptic world thing. Looking forward to finding out how that works. Given that you can actually craft your own ammo in 76, maybe that will work quite well. That's going the wrong way. Yeah, I've been streaming for a bit. I don't do it as reliably as I'd like to, but I tend to use it primarily to play games other than Fallout, or I have done up until now.
You made it. I'm just up ahead. My synths are standing down. Let's talk.
Make sure I'm fully reloaded. Yeah, obviously once 76 comes out, particularly as I won't be able to jump straight into making videos on settlement builds. Certainly not for a while, anyway. I get to do it as quick as I can, obviously. But given that that's going to be the case... where was I going with that? Yeah, I'll stream it quite a lot, just because it'll mean I can put content out, and I'm going to want to play the game, obviously. Get in and explore and all that good stuff. So it'll be fun to, you know, share that experience. And plus it'll also partially counter the whole how am I going to produce content thing. I get the feeling Dogmeat's going to lose a few limbs in a minute. Right. This is my contingency plan, just in case things go horribly wrong. That's what I did on survival mode.
And there she is. The most resilient woman in the Commonwealth.
Don't like the fact that this guy tries to get behind you. In the sense that you can build a camp just about anywhere, you should theoretically be able to do that. So that should be interesting enough. Much the same way you can if you've got like Workbench Anywhere installed, but in this game, I mean. So there are actually like permanent settlement locations.
You murdering, kidnapping psychopath. Give me my son. Give me Sean, now!
Right to it then, huh? Okay. Fine. Your son, Sean. Great kid. A little older than you may have expected. But I'm guessing you figured that out by now.
Yeah, with the permanent settlement locations, much like in Fallout 4, you have to unlock them. But the interesting thing is people can take them off you. At least I think they can. Whether they're directly through PvP or how exactly those mechanics work, I'm not sure. So I'm interested to see that side of things. But also, that's one of the few things that I'm a little unsure of, to say the least. Especially, like, how does that work for people who've gone for the full pacifist playthrough and not wanting to do the PvP thing? Are they going to... Well, how is that going to work for them, really? But, yeah, again, another thing we'll have to try and find out. I don't tend to roleplay too much, no. Much as I would like to a degree, it's kind of challenging to keep up over the long term. I tend to go with what just sort of feels right. And, I did set out to roleplay more with my survival mode playthrough, but that kind of deviated a little bit in time, so is what it is, I suppose. Especially if I'm not playing something that comes naturally to me.
Your boy's not here.
Inside the mountain or on the top of it? Or in the middle of the mountain range? Because there's definitely a mountain range down the middle of the game.
Tell me where he is, damn it.
Fine. I guess you've earned that much. Sean's in a good place. Where he's safe and comfortable and loved. A place he calls home. The Institute.
And there's the revelation.
Here, the Institute. I'll find my son no matter where he is.
That's the spirit. You know, you surprise me, I have to admit. I find myself actually kind of liking you. You might have actually been a good mother. And I admire your dedication, even if it is ultimately useless. But I think we've been talking long enough. We both know how this has to end. So, you ready?
Yeah, that'd be fun to do. I did something sort of vaguely like that in the middle of the glowing sea a while back. That was quite fun to do. Yeah, one of the things I'm looking forward to with the 76 is having new environments to build off. 'Cause I quite like trying to build my settlements focused around what's actually there in any given environment and building out from that and using that to inspire the build. So the options are going to open up a whole lot, and it's going to be fun to have something fresh and new sort of start with. Sure, yeah, and new design on building pieces and stuff like that should be cool as well. But you have to find recipes to open up new sets of building materials and stuff. It's interesting, you know, like the barn tab and the warehouse tab and so on and so forth that you can get through DLCs, admittedly, for this game. But you know, there's different things you can build with wood and metal and so on. But you have to find the appropriate recipes to, well, basically recipes anyway, teach you how to build using those in 76, which is going to be interesting. Also challenging. For practical reasons, it's one of the reasons I'm toying with the idea of picking up a strategy guide, so I can pick things like that up a little more quickly and get into making content a little more quickly, but we'll have to see. Also kind of don't want to spoil the game for myself at the same time, so having a bit of an internal dilemma there. And this particular scene would be a lot more fun in some ways if I was also on a revolver build.
Talk.
You know I am, Kellogg.
Alright, let's do it the other way then. Not behind the door, please. This works very well in survival mode, especially if you haven't got a companion. Glad I wasn't standing right there then. One down. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the clothing options. Some of the few that we've seen so far are pretty cool. Don't want that catching me in the back when I'm not expecting it. Why am I not getting a throwing arc? That's a bit annoying. There's at least one more. Kellogg's over here. One advantage to not using VATs. I should be able... Oh, there he is. He's out of Stealth Boy thingamajig anyway. Oh, you know... Oh dear, that hurt. Oh crap, where's all my ammo gone? Apparently I've used an awful lot of ammo today. Yeah, that would be good as well. I'd definitely like to see better tattoo options. Probably some better beards as well. Well, now you're down. Let's do this the fun way. You have a weak stomach? This is not the time to be watching. I think this would be deeply satisfying to somebody who had their child kidnapped. So, should we go kill Bill just for the final act? Why not? Kind of easy to toy with him when he's got no legs. Well, to be fair, he did a fair bit of damage. An official arena? How do you mean? Oh yeah, his pistol, that's quite cool. God, that was quite good.
this tech. You were barely human.
Gotta have his outfit because it's freaking cool. Yeah, there's one thing I have seen is best have the fusion cells because I'm nearly out of ammo for my plasma rifle. Yeah, one of the cool things I have seen is there's a kind of area in the fairground that's quite open and it's got like stands around it. I can't remember exactly what it was used for. He didn't get this far, did he? But it did look like... Oh, maybe it was that guy. It did look like it would be an interesting place to build. I don't know if you can actually build up on the stands, I didn't see. But it would be a lot of fun to do some interesting structures and places like that. But again, it's focused on... It's one of the public settlement locations, so... My concern there is whether or not other players can come in and spoil the problem. That's like, I'm not too worried about most PvP griefing, but in terms of settlement building, I'm a little more concerned about how that's actually going to work. I seem to have thought it through reasonably thoroughly as far as everything else is concerned. So, I suppose I should just put my faith in them, really. There's not much else I can do, I suppose, but... I know you can set up turrets to defend yourself from other players, but at the same time... Sort of like in Wasteland Workshop, was it? Where you could catch creatures and make them fight and stuff like that. I think that was Wasteland Workshop. Wouldn't surprise me if that has come back. Or a number of features like that. Yeah, you should just set up here as a base for some strange reason. Doesn't make a lot of sense. No, it's dog meat. I need a little more information than that. Yeah, you can definitely use turrets as sort of defense for PvP, but again, what if people don't want to do PvP? There's certainly options in there in general for avoiding it, so how will it work for things like settlement building? I know there was at least one YouTuber was specifically picked, much to his surprise, because he was more interested in focusing on things like lore and story, more so than a lot of the other people who were invited to the event. And that's not going to be an issue, they're all destroyed anyway. But I didn't notice, or I haven't noticed yet anyway, any YouTubers who are focused more on the settlement building side of things, which is a little disappointing because it means that's one element I'm very interested in that I haven't got a lot of information on, which is unfortunate. Hang on a second. This is obligatory when you know what the next thing is. This is daytime this time. Although it's still kind of cool in the nighttime. Bethesda do set pieces well.
Do not interfere. Our intentions are peaceful.
Yeah.
We are the Brotherhood of Steel.
Big. The Predator is one of the coolest things in this game. A couple of shortcomings, but as a concept and actually seeing the Brotherhood Zeppelins in a proper Fallout game, as opposed to, you know, the kind of discounted tactics and Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. Very, very cool. I don't really want to say I want to do this, that or the other with regards to settlement building in 76, because I just don't know what there's going to be and how it's going to work yet. But I'm looking forward to finding out, I know that much. What do you mean fast travel's currently unavailable from this location? Yeah, I thought so. Down to the street level and see if that makes a difference. Tidy little jump. There we go. So, regarding 76, is there anything you guys are looking forward to, curious about, apprehensive about? Anything you want to ask or talk about or anything like that? Ignore those barriers, I will be tweaking those later. More there as a reminder at the moment. Definitely need some different fences, I think. I'm happy with those ones. We found probably nothing useful. I think we're going to send him back to Sanctuary. Yes, you found an empty room that I've already cleaned out. How's it going? I've heard, well, had one other person tonight saying they played it and not go spectacularly well. So, yeah. Spill the beans. You enjoying it? How's it going? Wish I could play it, but yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
I do understand why Xbox is getting a bit of priority for types of early access to the beta and the stress test is over on Xbox and so on and so forth, but at the same time, it does rankle a little bit, you know, it's like, god damn it. And there we go. From the tone, I'm guessing you're not hugely surprised by it being fun. But yeah, I was and still am fully expecting it to be a damn good game. Contrary to a lot of people moaning about it. Frames are a bit iffy, are they? Are you playing 1080p or 4K? Xbox One or One S, is it? The Pro version? I never remember with Xbox. I know at Greenbriar they said they had some issues with the frame rate, but they were playing in 4K on an older build. And again, probably on a pre-beta build anyway, so there's at least 2 more builds before the game comes out fully. What's doing up there? On the X, playing at 1080. Okay. Still not quite got that frame rate down then. That would answer a few questions as to exactly why they've suddenly announced at the last minute that they want to do the stress test and stuff. Obviously, like they have said so far. Howdy. They've said so far that stress testing is pretty much the point of doing the beta, so yeah, I thought that was what you were going for. Yeah, if the point of doing the beta is to stress test things, then why are they doing a sudden... Yeah, an hour 40, so how long have I been up for? So what, about a 4-hour stress test, is it? Which, to be fair, gives you an hour more than the people who are at Greenbriar have got. Or did get, rather. So, yeah, that could be worse. Yeah, anyway, what I was trying to say before I lost my thread, as usual, is that if the point of the beta is to stress test, and then at the last minute now they've come out and said, we're going to do an Xbox stress test, they've probably got a reason behind doing that. And if they're finding it harder to sort the frame rate out, or want to test their efforts to do so, that would explain it a lot. Still trying to figure out what I want to do with the top of the walls. This is my current build in progress, by the way, in case you were wondering. Which, in a very short while, I'll have to go into the next video on. Which I have already shown a quick look at, but, you know, once is enough. I want to redo this entrance because I like the stairs and stuff, but I don't like the rest of it. It's just not enough. It looks okay from this angle, actually, but from out front, it's a bit poo. So I'm going to redo it. Not good enough. This stress test is sort of like a beta for the beta. It should be interesting. Bad. What's the date? 14th. So, yeah, just over 2 weeks now until I can get my hands on it. Just over a week until the beta comes out for Xbox, so... Yeah, definitely getting excited now. Especially now I've seen that bit more footage and stuff. I definitely looking forward to seeing how it feels and just getting in and exploring and getting immersed in it. Should be a lot of fun. Do something with this as well. I'll probably just decorate in the walls, so won't make for the most interesting of builds. There's a kid in the fridge in this game. Somewhere over that way, I think. I think he's over that way somewhere. Well, I know his home is somewhere over that way. Where he actually comes up, I believe, is a random encounter, so it could be anywhere. There's a thing I could do. Well, I remember, somewhere over here, there's a chem station. If you're curious, this is how I currently get all my building supplies. Just use FreeMaker, come over to a chemistry station, go to shipments, and just spawn a buttload of them in for free. Means I can produce more supplements more often, in theory anyway, with a lot less running around for materials anyway. It's a lot easier. But that option's going to disappear in a couple of short weeks, sadly. So I want to do this, because it doesn't really matter on the safe. There we go. Actually got some ammo for this gun again now. So, anything else we want to bring up? Anything else we want to chat about? Because otherwise, I should probably take a little break and then start editing tomorrow. Well, hopefully tomorrow's video. Because it's sat here waiting. She just over that wall. I do love this view of Boston. Oh, it's just got slightly busier. This is, yeah. I did record a shot for the video looking out this direction, and the Predwin was not there. It would have been a bit shinier, though. I suppose it wouldn't make sense, would it? So, do that. Not hooking this up. Okay, as we don't seem to have any more questions inbound, I think I'll wrap things up there. Well, thank you very much to everybody who stopped by, all of you who joined in the chat and everything else. Very, very much appreciate it. Might have a look at possibly chopping this up a little bit and putting it on as a video, but we'll see. It's going to be quite a bit of work. Question of time as much as anything, or whether or not it actually works. But we shall see. So, if you would like to, social media links all over the place. That way. Spring to mind. They're down in the descriptions and stuff as well. And if you're on Twitch, do please consider dropping a follow if you've enjoyed hanging out. Those who are on YouTube, if you haven't already, you can drop subs and so on and so forth if you'd like to. Would always be very much appreciated. For now, yeah, I will wrap things up and then say goodnight. So I'll be speaking to you all soon. Have a wonderful evening.